Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honor Thy Podcast. This is the weekly DCTV Arrowverse podcast where we discuss everything Arrowverse. I'm your host, Declan McKinney. You may know me as the host of DCTV Talk, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Dan McCance, otherwise known as Mulekick Media.
Hey, what's up?
Supergirl was good this week.
For once.
But before we get to that, we have got a couple of pieces of news, but I'm just still absolutely bewildered and amazed that Supergirl was able to actually...
It was actually watchable.
Of the week.
Yeah, it was... no. It was watchable, but weren't the best. We'll get into this later, but you're wrong.
I said potentially. News. First off, from Entertainment Weekly, they gave us our first official look at LaMonica Garrett as the Monitor for the upcoming Elseworlds crossover. Damn, that's comic book accurate.
The suit just looks awesome.
It almost looks like it shouldn't fit in the Arrowverse. Like, almost looks like too out there for the Arrowverse at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, given this crossover on what's happening, I guess this is really the only point where a costume that stupid would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy, this crossover. I'm so excited for it. Like, I just can't believe, especially because I was so down on this crossover for such a long time.
I still am.
Well, yeah, but we all know what you're like, so we have to...
No. I'm the realist. I'm the realist here. You're the man who gets himself
I'm the hype man.
Hyped up for You're the hype man. I'm
Look,
the realist.
I like to bring hype to our audience, right? You know.
And I like to prepare them for the worst, which happens for a lot of these shows.
Well, I guess we'll leave it up to you guys to decide who's better off in life. So with this photo, I have to say I'm very impressed. I was a little bit worried with this because I was thinking, how are they going to do it? And obviously with these photos, we still have to wait and see what it actually looks like on screen before we can actually decide anything officially.
But then again, there have already been like set photos released, or should I say leaked online, of him in costume. So we've already got like a good idea of what he's like when he's not obviously, in a photo shoot. I think it still looks pretty good, but I'm interested to see how it'll look because I imagine we'll probably see him in the trailer for the crossover.
Yeah.
So I think I'll be waiting more for that to see what it looks like. Another thing I noticed as well is that on the promotional picture that they released for like his costume reveal, he's actually holding the book that based on like new leaked set photos, which again just seems to be happening all the time now. It's like photos getting leaked like left, right, and center for the crossover. Like it's the same book that Superman's holding in the photos. So I'm wondering what link that might have to the story.
There's also going to be like a dark Supergirl, it seems, as well, based on set photos. Like I don't know if you saw.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, there's a couple of photos with like Melissa Benoist who's like in like a black not black suit, but like in a black outfit. Holding that book. So it seems like maybe there's gonna be like an evil Supergirl as well on this sort of thing, on top of the evil Superman, and also we know that regular Superman's in it. So yeah, this crossover's mental. I mean, this is obviously why they revealed the costume swapping thing so early on, because there's been so many set photos, obviously because they knew they were gonna be filming so much. And what I like about it as well is that a lot of the crossovers are filmed like in the dark a lot of the time and at night time. I love the fact that all of this is being filmed in the day.
Yeah,
that's really good. Like I love seeing that because it just always makes the costumes look so much better. Like I remember like in Invasion when they had like the fight scenes, the Crisis on Earth X big final fight, and like even like the Arrow season 5 finale, that was all like Arrow never films in the day, so like that season 5 finale just in the daylight was so nice. So I'm happy about that. I just can't wait to see the scene with John Wesley Shipp as the Flash again. I'm so excited about that.
That's I will admit that has got me quite excited, just because he's in it and because obviously he's playing, Barry Allen from the '90s show. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, so I'm just really excited to see what they do, and this crossover is amazing. I think that the Monitor looks really cool. Again, I found it a little bit weird at first, just because it's so weird when you look at how far the Arrowverse has come. Like when you look at Arrow season 1 to now, it's just
you look at what Arrow season 6, like not even season 6, season 7's like doing now, like how grounded it is, and it's like, oh, he's just gonna just be fighting metahumans and running with speed.
This mystical, magical, weird creature from outer space. Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously they've done aliens before. I mean, they've done the Dominators and things, but I mean, this is like a completely different ball game. So this is quite interesting. And what's quite fun to look at as well is in the poster, Earth is exploding in the background. And
that's lovely.
some people are saying that perhaps the Anti-Monitor could destroy one of like an Earth in the multiverse that we know. Like they just like destroy Earth, or like what it would be. Sorry, is that the black suit Superman would like destroy an Earth because in the set photos there's a photo that looks like the black suit Superman is doing the clap thing.
Yeah.
And where he claps and it creates like a massive, like it basically just destroys everything. Like Kara actually did it in Crisis on Earth X, but like a much smaller scale version of it. So this is like in the comics, the Black Superman. If he does it, it just like destroys and decimates everything. So people are saying that like he could do it on whatever Earth this is and just like destroy that Earth, and that could be what it is. So like it could be like Earth 2, Earth 3, whatever, like destroying an Earth that we know. That'd be like really interesting. So
destroys Earth 38, rip Supergirl.
Let's get that hashtag going. Just get rid of Earth 19 so we can just like finally get over that the accelerated man is never going to be anything of importance.
What about Gypsy though?
Look, as much as I love Gypsy, she's not coming back to the show.
Don't say that.
Cisco wasn't even in this episode of The Flash. Like he's just like really taking this badly. So at least if he knows that she's dead, then he can kind of just realize, it's never going to happen. So the other piece of news, we have a bit more sad news actually. Jesse L. Martin, who you'll know for playing one of the major Arrowverse dads, and that is, of course, Joe West on The Flash, is taking a absence of leave, or leave of absence, from The Flash in its filming, as he actually injured himself during the hiatus of the show. So this is something that a lot of us have been talking about ever since The Flash came back, because Joe has not been in it much, which, granted, isn't necessarily unusual, especially over the last couple of seasons. Joe has taken a complete backseat. But, like, he's, like, pretty much in every episode, he's been sitting down the entire time. So everyone, and at first, everyone was just kind of taking it as a joke. And then over the past couple of weeks, everyone's like, is there something going on here? Like, is this something to do with the character? Is this Jesse? Like, what's going on? So it has been officially confirmed that Jesse L. Martin did actually injure himself. I think, did he say he injured his back?
Injured his back. I think his back that they said he injured, yeah.
Yeah, so he is going to be taking a leave of absence from the show for a little while to do that. Obviously, they're going to have to find a reason to write him out of the show for a bit. We'll have to see what they do. And potentially they could write, like we were talking about this just before we started recording, but they could write actually an injury for Joe's character, maybe via Cicada. Like, say if Jesse L. Martin needs to get into a wheelchair, for example, that would be their way of doing it. So, yeah, there is Jesse L. Martin is going to be leaving The Flash for a little bit. Really sad news, but obviously we wish him a very speedy recovery, no pun intended.
Joe gets super speed.
Yes. See,
mate, he's the only member.
Super speed, he can get speedy recovery.
Yeah. To be fair though, he's literally the only member of his family that has not had any form of metahuman powers in their lifetime.
Yeah, so he needs to get on it. Yeah.
He needs to get on it before he dies this season.
Yeah, because he's going to die. No, but we do wish Jesse L. Martin all the best, and we can't wait to see him again soon. Yeah,
best wishes. Because I mean, he's really a nice present to have on screen. So the fact that he's going to be taking leave of absence, it's a shame, but if he needs it to get better, so I understand.
Yeah, we all love Papa Joe. So, we are now going to move into our reviews for this week's episode of our DC TV shows, starting off with Supergirl. Now, normally when I say that, we destroy this. It's literally just a roasting session most weeks for Supergirl, apart from this week. Especially because season 4 has been, and I'm not going to hold back here, atrocious. It's been terrible. But episode 3, Man of Steel, was great. Well done. Did it. You did it in one of the 2 episodes where Melissa is barely in it. I know. Maybe this is telling. Maybe we should just not have a Supergirl TV show. Maybe we should just have an Agent Liberty show. Just do that instead. I love the fact that, hardly any of the main cast members in this were actually in this episode. And, it was the best episode of the season. Just because Sam Witwer is so good. But I guess we could start off with that. We'd start off talking about Sam Witwer. He is incredible. We've been really excited about Sam Witwer coming to the show because we're big fans of Sam Witwer. So when we heard he was actually coming to Supergirl, we were very happy with that. And just seeing his character of Ben Lockwood, he plays it so well. And I said this in my review. There are scenes, especially the scene when he's talking with James, reminded me the way he was acting very similar to Stephen Amell and how he was doing it. And again, I think that's very impressive.
Yeah, he was so good this episode because he really had to sell you on the fact that this guy could just, because of these like circumstances, events, would just become so compelled to, you know, hate aliens and have such extreme like xenophobia towards them. And like the way that Sam Witwer does it, and he does it in a way that, even though it's wrong, but in a way you understand why he's so passionate about it, and you can understand him. And for me, that's like some of the best like villains, or even like villains / anti-heroes, are the ones who you don't agree with, but you can understand where they're coming from and their point of view. And like the way that he portrays it in this episode is phenomenal. Because like we said, we love Sam Witwer, and we knew he was going to be a good actor. But like the first 2 episodes, we barely saw him, and it was like he was by far the best part of those 2 episodes. And he probably only had about and he only had about probably a total of like 2 minutes of screen time in both episodes. But like to get the chance to actually spend a whole episode with him, developing like his character, which is something that Supergirl's never done. And to be honest, I don't think it's really anything that any of the other Arrowverse shows have ever really done. I mean, the only other one I can think of where they've like developed the villain this much was probably like the Dragon, but they didn't do it to anywhere near like as an amount that they did in this episode. Like it was just so well done. And like even all the supporting characters, like you had his father, who was played by Alexander Berkeley, who of course we know as Gregory from The Walking Dead.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, even characters like him, I thought were very good, because they weren't just characters who were kind of just there to move, you know, Agent Liberty's story forward. You know, you felt, you know, their relationship, and you felt how, you know, his father and his view on aliens, how it translated to his son. It's just so well done, and it's kind of the kind of writing that I never expected to see on Supergirl, which is why I'm so shocked that I'm actually able to say this many good things about it.
I know, it's insane. I mean, what I particularly loved about everything that Sam Witwer did was how accurately it portrayed like just a downward spiral. Because what I loved as well is that the character of Ben Lockwood was involved in pretty much Supergirl's entire history. Like, you see the season 1 finale speech, which he was watching at the time. You see him that he was actually involved in the season 2 finale in the Daxamite invasion. His house was destroyed during the Daxamite invasion. And then he was in the season 3 finale, and his dad gets killed in that big battle. So it's like, the fact that all these little things were seeded, and obviously we've never seen Benjamin Lockwood before, but the fact that they've actually given him that relevance and given him that history, and, you know, there's just all these things that are piling on top of each other, you know, sort of year after year after year, that send him just further and further down the rabbit hole. And there's even where he gets fired from his job at the university for basically being xenophobic. It's really well handled. And actually, again, I never thought I'd say this about Supergirl, but very well written. I think it was really well executed. I loved it. And I just think it was such a realistic way of doing it. And what I also love about this episode, and with Ben Lockwood's character, is this is something that the Arrowverse shows don't really do, and something that the superhero genre in general doesn't really do, but it's that it really showed how these big events can actually affect the common people, and how it shows the effects of that. So like I say, his house gets destroyed, and like his family almost die in the season 2 finale, and you get to see how it just affects like all these superhero things, because obviously we always see it from the superhero's perspective. We always see it how they come out victorious, and how they, you know, how they win and succeed, but you never actually see the damage. And I said this in my review as well, but like the only other time I've ever really seen that was in Captain America Civil War, when they tried to sort of play with that idea. And I'm very surprised that Supergirl went there, and I think they did it successfully, so I was very impressed with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, just like I said, the way that they like wrote this episode, like the maturity around it, and like how well they wrote it to make you believe like this guy could go from, you know, just an average, you know, lecturer / teacher to just someone who became so passionate in his hate towards aliens. It was just so well done. I mean, I know I'm talking like a load of praise about this episode. There were still some problems that I had with it. Like, I still didn't like Mercy and Otis Graves, because they popped up, but thankfully they weren't. They were literally in the episode for about a few seconds, to be honest. Like Otis, especially, like he was literally just there for that one scene where he's handing out them. What was it? Those them flyers. But even when he said his lines and he's just like staring at Sam Witwer's character, I'm just like, fuck off, bro. he's got such a smug face, and I can't tell if he's making that face on purpose, or if that's just the way that he is.
Yeah, I mean, we've said this before. I'm not a fan of the Graves like siblings. I don't think they're good characters.
No.
But yeah, I mean, they're not in this episode hardly at all. So.
Yeah, so that's all right, but it's just it was just so good. But I think the main thing we should talk about is the lack of Kara in this episode. Like literally, I think the only like new material that Melissa Benoist actually filmed for this episode was literally that flashback scene that she has with Agent Liberty, and then like probably about like 3 minutes max, like when she's just lying on a table.
Yeah, with no movement or dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised they just got a dummy for it. Just got a dummy on the table.
I mean, because it's funny, because I've said in the past that I feel like this show, it lives or dies by Melissa Benoist. Similarly to Arrow with Stephen Amell. But I think this episode proves otherwise. I mean, you know, this episode basically entirely, you know, Sam Witwer's in like 98% of the scenes.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the best episode of the season. And it's one of the best episodes of Supergirl, probably of all time, I'd say. You know, I definitely put it up there. I think it's incredible, this episode. And, you know, Melissa Benoist is pretty much indisposed throughout the entire thing. So it's, apart from that one scene where she has that the flashback scene with Ben, that's literally it. And I feel like it's surprising that this episode was able to stand on its shoulders. And I think this proves as well how good of an actor Sam Witwer is, where he's able to, because this is a new character. Because technically this is the first time we've seen Sam Witwer. Obviously we've seen Agent Liberty, but he's literally just been in the full costume. We've never seen, that could be a stunt double for all we know. But this is the first time we've actually seen him. So the fact that we're able to have this new character come on and basically keep the show up on its shoulders while it runs without its lead star, I think is extremely admirable. And I think he was just incredible for doing that. And yeah, it proves that maybe Melissa Benoist is not as crucial to this show as maybe we first thought, and especially because this is relevant, because Melissa Benoist doesn't seem as into this show as she once was. It's interesting that maybe this show, if they wanted to carry it on, could be taken up by somebody else. So, that's interesting.
Very, very interesting.
Now, also, what's interesting about Ben Lockwood is that he seems to be tied to Luthor Corps as well. So
yeah,
maybe that could be brought back up somewhere with Lena. That could, you know, come back into it at some point. But also, obviously, the ending of the episode does reveal how Kara gets this suit. Now, obviously, we were talking about this when these photos first came out. Talking about we couldn't wait to see how the writers handled this. And it was probably the most lazy thing they could have done.
So lazy.
It's just like, you know, oh, well, she needs a suit in order to move around. It's basically like the Bacta tank from Star Wars, but they can walk around in it. So, like, so she's like, so Lena has this thing that she puts on Kara, and then, yeah, she just... How that works, by the way, I don't know. How is she able to get into that suit when she's laying down?
Yeah.
That doesn't work. Anyway. So, yeah, just kind of like nanotech kind of just, like, goes over her. And now she's in that suit with a completely blacked out mask, so you cannot see inside of it. And that's what she's going to be palling around in next episode. I am interested to see it, though.
I think we're interested for the wrong reasons. But yeah. I can't wait for the quality of the show just to plummet right back down next week.
I know. We've been like riding on such a high this week with Supergirl. Like, we were actually excited to talk about Supergirl this week, and now it's just like next week we're going to come back and we're going to be like, well, that was shit. Although I am also interested next week because I believe that's the episode that Manchester Black comes in.
Yeah.
Which I find funny. I think this season of Supergirl is going to have a villain problem.
Yeah, because they got so many villains they're trying to juggle.
There's
like you got
Agent Liberty, the Mercy and Otis Graves, the other Kara, Lex Luthor's coming in, Agent Liberty, and Manchester Black. That's 7 villains.
It's ridiculous.
That's like 7 villains.
They're definitely gonna have a villain problem. I would be surprised if they didn't.
Now, could any of them? Lex. I don't think Lex is going to be a big part of it. Personally, I think you can kind of remove Lex. The Graves twins will probably die. Manchester Black could turn, maybe. Agent Liberty could turn, and then obviously the evil Kara, I think, will be the end big fight.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know, I just worry that with all these villains, they're just not going to set up like Red Kara, and by the time we get to it, we're just going to feel like we've had no development with the character.
Yeah, I mean, what was the scene at the end of episode 1? Because I actually haven't seen it.
What, you watched the whole episode, how have you seen it?
it was funny. My version that I watched must have cut that end scene off because I haven't seen it. What was that?
I think I don't know why, but I feel like it was literally just like it like had the shot and then it went underground, and then it was just like Red Kara just punching into these like into like ground or something. Like
So
she was underground.
Context to actually.
Yeah, basically no context. Yeah, pretty much.
So we still have no hint on what this character is.
Oh no.
Okay, well, Supergirl and the writers, if you are listening, please keep this quality going. If you can, I don't have the faith that you can, but if you can, please do it because this episode was great. One of the best episodes you've ever done, and I'm gonna say that it's honestly up there. I think we've said, officially the best episode of Supergirl was 309.
Yeah.
Do you think this tops it?
I'd probably say yeah, because I mean the only memorable bits of 309 for me was the end fight between Kara and Rain. Whereas with this, there was so many things that I remembered throughout the entire episode. So I'd probably have to say this is the best.
Yep, there you go. Official. You've heard it first. On a Die podcast officially declares that this episode is the best episode of Supergirl of all time. We're not wrong. Right.
Facts.
Moving on to Legends of Tomorrow, we have our review for Witch Hunt. This is a bit of a weird one for me. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I really enjoyed this episode for some reason.
I enjoyed it, but there were a couple of elements that made me kind of step back.
No, I just enjoyed it because of how like weird it was.
I mean, I'm like the biggest advocator of Legends being weird. Like, I love the fact that Legends is weird. However, when the fairy godmother started singing, I feel like that may have been a step too far for Legends.
No, I was fine with that.
Personally, I wasn't a fan. And this is coming from the guy who liked Duet.
Exactly. So your opinion's invalid. This scene was great. Facts.
But other than that, I did enjoy this episode a lot. It was still really, really fun. Obviously, Constantine just officially join the team. I like seeing him just, trying to share his living space with Mick, and Mick just can't be doing with him at all. I think that's great. I love the fact that Constantine just goes up to Gideon just to try it out. See oh, what can this thing do? And he starts coming up with all these weird things. That's great. I love Nate and Hank in this.
Yeah.
I
so
love
good.
Biff Tannen. I can't help but see Biff every time he's on screen.
I don't think anybody can, to be honest. You just look.
Has he actually had any other major roles? I'm gonna have a look at IMDb now. I want to see.
I honestly can't think of anything big that he has done since Back to the Future Part 3.
I'm just gonna look at IMDb. I need to see what he's done.
But it was so funny. Obviously them in the Time Bureau, because Nate's obviously trying to convince his dad that the Time Bureau needs more money to deal with these fairy tale anachronisms, and it was just so funny. I mean we'll get onto this later, but the bit where he's got Ray as a pig. Oh yeah. God. This is why I love Legends. It's just so random. Oh God.
Yeah, it's just there's so many good stuff. Just because of how ridiculous it is, seeing what's his name? Yeah, Hank, coming in and just having to be he has to buy the fact that all these things are happening, and he has Ray turn from a pig back into his regular self in order just to prove that magic exists. And it does actually bring kind of an arc to a close with him and Nate in a sense, because obviously Nate has kind of shown him now as oh yeah, I have actually been doing something. I'm a superhero who can turn my stuff, my body into steel.
When the budget allows me to.
Yeah, when the writer says it's okay. So yeah, I mean that was really nice. And I also have to say, I really like what they're doing with Nate this season.
Yeah.
I was worried big time for Nate this season. Really worried, because I thought without Amaya, this character's got nothing. And I really like the fact they've given him this story. And also, just in terms of his personality, they've grounded him. Because do you feel in season 3 he was a bit too over the top?
No, I loved season 3 with him, especially when he was tripping on mushrooms.
That was
the best
great.
thing ever.
That was great. But for me, I felt it, because I really liked him in season 2, when he was like, he did have his jokes and he was a funny character, but he was still, that serious kind of historian on the team. In this season, they kind of brought him back to that, and I prefer that, because in Season 3, he was basically just Ray 2.0. But here, I think he's a lot better. Look at us, I'm being the negative one. What's going on here? But anyway.
Yeah, you just got weird negative.
But
you criticizing singing. You love duet. You jerk off to duet every day. Exactly. So how can you criticize the singing? You just don't like the woman who sings. You've been critical on his singing ability. That's what it is.
Well,
like, all right. Then let's get to this. Then, why do you not like the scene?
I just felt it was a bit too much. I was kind of
how is it too much? There's a fucking fairy godmother hanging around some woman in the 17th century. How is it too much?
I just felt like on top of everything else, I was just
not good enough.
Not
good enough. Good enough.
Like, I give Legends a lot of leniency, but for me, I was kind of like, this is a bit much for me. I don't know. Legends is silly. It's really silly, but I was like, this is ridiculously silly.
No, I was fine with it because it was clear the reason they were doing it was because they were mocking Disney. That's why they did it. It was to point jabs at Disney. I mean, the whole thing where Sarah's like, what in the Disney hell is this? And then it's like, that's basically the reason it was there. And it was funny because basically it was a parody of like Disney, like how Disney, with fairies and princesses and stuff like that. And I thought it was funny. Like, and this is coming from a guy who didn't like duet. I didn't like duet. But because this is deliberately taking the piss out of a musical with that scene, I actually enjoyed it because duet can suck a dick. It's a filler episode full of singing and it's shit. That's my rant on duet. But no, I enjoyed the scene and I really enjoyed this episode. Like there was nothing that I hated about it, but there was, but there also wasn't anything that I thought was like overly amazing. It was kind of like it was a decent episode. I will say that, but there wasn't really anything that I didn't like.
I tell you what I did like was Zari in this.
Yeah, Zari was really good because it's like they kind of like building off what they did at the end of last episode with her. When her and Ray, they go back to when she was a kid with her mum, and it really like followed on from that because really like the anachronism they were dealing with was basically in a similar position to what Zari was with her mum. It was so well done, and it was like, I think it was like a really big episode for her, like character wise, like in terms of her growth.
Yeah, I quite like the fact that Zari kind of goes rogue in this episode.
Yeah,
just kind of goes against Sarah just to do what she feels is right, and I like because they did actually do it well in the sense that it wasn't like too pushy because I feel like Legends can do that at times because they kind of did it last season with Zari a little bit. And it worked last season as well, because it did give us that amazing Themyscira thing, which was cool. But I think it just worked so well in the sense that she was, because she wanted the girl to have her mother, because she basically saw herself in that same position. And it was good and it worked. And I like the fact as well that she kind of saw herself becoming a monster, like she's choking out all those guys and she had to stop.
Yeah.
And she realised that her powers were becoming a bit of a problem. And I thought that was really good. I love Zari. I mean, I've said this before. Zari for me is like the most surprising legend because I think because when she first came on, I wasn't a huge fan. But then by the end of season 3, I really liked her. And season 4, I think she's been great. So yeah, I think Zari was actually one of the standouts for me alongside Nate. Also, I really like Nate working with Ava now. I think that's really cool because I'm really glad that Jess McCallan is a series regular because I love all of her scenes in the Time Bureau, especially now that Nate, because Nate isn't necessarily going to be a legend this season. He's actually working with Ava at the Time Bureau. She gives him a job, and I'm totally happy with that. I think that's really good. Again, I'm perfectly happy with them taking Nate away from the Legends and putting him with Ava because that's kind of like a pairing that you wouldn't really expect. So
no, not really. I mean,
and it works. I think it works, and I think them two play off together really well. Obviously, Gary's going to be there in the mix. He gets to show off his nipple in this episode.
That was funny.
He gets his arm stuck in a tube. I literally, even though I was going on about the fairy godmother, I mean, Gary is so silly, but I can never get enough of Gary. I just can't. I think Gary should be I think he should have his own show. you know what they should do? They should do, you know how they do the Chronicles of Cisco? They should do the Chronicles of Gary. That's what they should do. I would totally watch that. A Gary spin-off show. I would totally watch that. But yeah, I like what they're doing with Nate, and sticking in with Ava I think is a good choice. Also, I will say as well, there was a really awesome fight scene in this episode which I loved, and that was when Sarah got to take on all of those guys at once. Very Arrow.
Very much.
Very took me back to those days of Sarah on Arrow. So I like that. It reminded me of that. Do you think Sarah will ever go back to Arrow, like, full time?
I don't think she will ever, to be honest, because just because the show is so like rammed with cast members at the moment, that I think if you end up throwing Sarah into the mix, it's just too many cooks in the brothel. So it's like too many. So I think that she's better where she is, just because I think there as like the main leader, she'll have better stories anyway. And I understand, obviously, she's like so integral to Arrow, but I just don't think, you know, there's too many characters on there at the moment. I prefer her being here as the main focus.
I almost feel like Sarah's come too far at this point to go back to Arrow. Like,
yeah,
when she was on Arrow, she was really dark and, you know, things like that. But then when she comes to Legends, like, when you look at her now, like in this episode, what did she say this episode? Like, she said she had that thing at the start, like with Constantine and Ray, where she had like that thing, and then she was like, "Oh, was it too much?" Like, it was right at the start. Like, season 2 Arrow Sarah would never have done that.
Oh, like, no, definitely not.
I don't remember exactly what she said, but I was like, yeah, that would have never have been season 2 Sarah. If you would have said, oh yeah, in about 5 years that's what she'd be doing, I'd be like, no. But it was really interesting to see how far Sarah's come, because I feel like if she went back to Arrow now, she'd be like, you guys are fucking miserable.
Yeah.
It's like, lighten up, will you? She'd probably only get along with Curtis, and that's about it. So yeah, I still think this is a good episode on the whole. Like I say, for me, the Fairy Godmother was not for me personally. I thought that was a bit too much for me personally, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you could enjoy it. I wish I could have. For me, like, Bebo, I'm completely fine with. Fairy Godmother, apparently not. it's just the way it is.
Damn.
So, shall we move over to The Flash, Season 5, Episode 4, News Flash. This episode surprised me, actually. This was better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I thought based on the promo, I don't know, I just kind of had a feeling that it wasn't going to be that good, but no, the episode was a pleasant surprise, especially with the direction they took with the meta and the twist behind that. I didn't see that coming.
No. I actually, because I guess we should just like establish this, but obviously the character of Spencer Young, who they introduced here, isn't actually a metahuman, but her phone is. So they're now doing meta tech. So I guess this is the new thing they're doing this season, where instead of maybe necessarily getting metahumans, we're getting meta tech, which is interesting. I think that's a fun idea to play with, especially because the powers that we see on display here because of the phone was really creative. Like, you know, she could literally create a headline, and that headline would happen, which sets up that whole XS trying to kill the Flash thing that we saw in the promo. Like, that's really creative. And then she's like, oh yeah, the Flash spotted in Vegas, and then Barry just does one. Like, that's really good. So I liked her, and I like the actress who played her as well. And one thing I want to talk about that is kind of revealed in this episode, Nora might be a lesbian.
I kind of expected this, but like, no, it was kind of interesting to see, because I mean that's now 2 of the Arrowverse main heroes where their kids are now, like, you know, non-straight. I'll put it in that way. But
that's how you do it.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. It was well done, because it wasn't like focused on for the entire episode. Like, oh, OMG, you're a lesbian or something like that. No, it was just normal.
It's an integral part to me. It's important to express who I am. No, you just do it to the point where we understand it's established, and then you leave it. And just like they did on Arrow with William, they do it here. They just like subtly hint at it. They don't like outright confirm it, but they subtly hint at it. And what's interesting as well is that Todd Helbing, I think it was, said a while ago that in this season they were going to introduce a new LGBT character. So I guess that's Nora, which is good. I guess that eliminates, the potential of her and Ralph getting together, which I was honestly thought might happen. To be fair, though, actually, not season 5 Ralph. Season 4 Ralph maybe, but not season 5 Ralph. Season 5 Ralph is a mature lad now.
He's a very mature man. He wouldn't do such things.
Yeah, let's talk about Ralph though. I mean, again, I've said I love Ralph this season. I just think it's just in the perfect place right now.
He's just so much better than he was last season.
Yeah, like he's actually a real character. He doesn't feel like a cartoon. He actually feels real. And his pairing with Sherlock Wells is beautiful. I grew to like Sherlock Wells a lot more this week than I did last week. I like the fact that by the end, they go on this whole sort of investigative journey together where they're like, oh yeah, Ralph's like, oh yeah, we need to explore the mask because the mask is interesting. We need to sort of get some details on the mask. I like the fact that Sherlock's like, he's like, yes, Baby Giraffe, I've caught, Cicada. Why does he call him Baby Giraffe? I think that's really funny. But he's like, I've caught Cicada like 36 other times, and every time, the mask was inconsequential. But then I like the fact that he brings up, yeah, but the timeline's changed. This Cicada is not the same as the Cicada you've caught 36 times. This is a different guy. And I like the fact that they follow up on it. The mask actually gives them something in the end. And I love the fact that he actually credits Ralph. I like the fact that he says,
yeah,
this was your thing. You did this. It wasn't me. I like the fact that he gave him credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just nice what they're doing with Ralph to actually make him feel more useful. Like they said, because this season they really are playing more of his detective side of his character, which I think it was needed because it's to establish the fact that he's got uses other than just being just than his superpowers. He's actually useful in terms of he's obviously smart when it comes to like investigations and things like that, and that's really what they needed to do with him more last season. So it's nice that we're actually getting more of it now, and just the way that they've used it so far, it's just they've just got him spot on. Like, this is the version of Ralph I wanted in season 4, because even though I didn't mind him in season 4, he could still get on your nerves at times, and I could understand why people didn't like him. But now it's like at the point where I honestly couldn't understand if someone came to me and said, I don't like Ralph, because he's like, there's really nothing to complain about.
Yeah, I really think like every problem that anybody had with Ralph last season, I think has been well and truly fixed. I think that goes for the show as a whole, to be honest. Any kind of issue that people have with season 4, for the most part, has been fixed.
Yeah.
And that's really impressive. That's a credit to the writers. I think season 5's been so strong. But yeah, I love everything going on with Ralph this season. I like his pairing with Sherlock Wells. I think all their scenes were great together. I really enjoyed all of that. As we mentioned as well at the start, Cisco is MIA in this episode. He's completely gone out of the picture. He's gone to visit his parents' house because he's still recovering from the cicada fight.
Carlos Valdes just couldn't be on set.
He just didn't want to do it. He's too tired this season. I mean, I hate to say this, but the episode kind of felt no different.
No, like I didn't really miss him, which is upsetting because I love Cisco.
I love Cisco. Yeah, I love Carlos Valdes, but it just didn't really feel any different. And I guess that's maybe a testament to how much Cisco's had to do this season.
Oh no, it's like I don't want to admit to that though, because it's like I love Cisco, but it's like
I've mentioned this before though. Cisco is a different character this season. I don't know what it is, but he's different. It's just it's really strange to me. This doesn't feel like the same character we've had for the past 4 seasons on this show. It feels a completely different character. Like, he's really sad and mopey. And I know, obviously, there is the gypsy breakup thing, but I don't buy that. Like, I don't buy the fact that he's only getting over this now. Like, I feel like this would have happened a while ago. Because even after the whole DeVoe thing, he still had 5 months to get over it.
Yeah.
Hiatus. It doesn't feel like the same character. So, yeah, I to be honest, I didn't miss Cisco in this episode. So, obviously, he'll come back next week. Or not next week, but the week after with the Ragdoll episode. I guess that's another piece of news I forgot to mention. As a little notice, is The Flash is non next week, if you're not aware, because of the whole US election going on Tuesday night. The Flash and also Black Lightning, if you watch that, is going to be taking a break, and then it will come back the week after with the all dolled up Ragdoll episode, which looks great. Yeah, Cisco, I guess he'll be back next week. He might not be. Was he in the promo for next week's episode?
I actually don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing
Cisco.
him. But maybe
which is weird because usually I would notice Cisco was in a promo or something. Damn, that's really telling for what Cisco's been this season.
I know. Now, I think the main talking point of this episode is the big reveal that we finally get, which tells us why Nora has a bit of a chip on her shoulder when it comes to Iris. And it turns out that in the future, Iris put a power dampening chip inside of Nora, which prevented her from using her speedster powers, and Nora didn't actually know she was a speedster until 6 months ago. Now, this is interesting. This isn't actually what I thought it was going to be. It was funny. When I was watching the episode, she pulls down her shirt to reveal the scar. I was like, oh my god, Iris is an abuser. Holy shit.
I thought the exact same thing. They're not going to go there, are they?
I was like, this is like dark for the Flash. I was like, this belongs in some season 3 shit. This isn't that. But no, she put a chip inside of her to prevent her from using her powers. Now, what I like about this overall thing, I mean, I don't know how I feel about the whole Iris putting the chip into her daughter, but I like the fact that obviously she speaks to Barry about it and she's dead upset, and Barry's like, I'm sure you had a reason. And what I love is Iris goes back and speaks to Nora and is like, look, I'm really sorry about it, but I know in my head and in my heart that I must have done it for a reason. Because we know what Iris is like. We know her as a character. She would not have done this without a valid reason of doing so.
Yeah.
We know this, and I like the fact that she acknowledges that. And even when Barry comes in, because Barry has been so much on Nora's side, and Nora very much expected Barry to go on her side with this, he does stick by Iris and says, no, I'm sure she had a very good reason for doing so. Now, obviously, we don't know what this reason is. I guarantee you we will find out. I guarantee you we see future Iris this season.
Yeah.
And we'll find out what that reason is. But I like the fact that this isn't resolved in this episode either. They don't all hug and make up either. It's literally just like there's still conflict going on here, and Iris doesn't just like give up. I like the fact that Iris sticks by her guns, and I think that's great. I was really impressed by that. And Candice Patton was great in this episode as well. She got to do some really good emotional stuff. Like, she does actually get to do some crying in this episode. I mean, I say this before, I think Candice Patton's an amazing actress. So to see her, get to play on that was really good.
Yeah, she's pretty. I mean, like you say, I like the fact that they don't just try to like rush like the conclusion of this whole like story. Like, oh, we're all friends now. Like, I like the fact that they're actually letting it play along because the story's not boring. It's not something that's bogging the season down. It's something that I think deserves to be like lasting over like multiple episodes. Because it'll be interesting to learn more and more about like why Iris did this, and if maybe she did like anything else to Nora in the future that makes her Nora hate her even more. Like, and I don't know. It's just like it's kind of similar to the whole situation with like the Arrow flash forwards, in that because it's something that's happening in the future, we don't really know what's going to happen. We don't really know where it could go essentially. So I'm that's really got me curious. That's probably like one of the things I'm most interested in throughout this whole season.
Yeah, I was very impressed with how they just handled it, and by the fact that they didn't resolve it. I really hope this is like just a season-long arc, and I think it obviously will be. So that's great. I mean, what did you think of it? Was it what you sort of expected in terms of the revelation?
I mean, when we saw the scar, I was like, this child abuse. But no. I mean, it's the kind of thing where it's like maybe it has something to do with like she put it in not long after Barry went missing.
Yeah,
and then he didn't come back, and then maybe that's why she did it, because she didn't want the same thing happening to her daughter. Vanishing like via time travel and then like never coming back. So maybe that's why she did it, but I have a feeling that there might be an additional reasoning for it, which will like, it's just like I say, I don't really know where they can go with it, because I think maybe they could do that, but then again, it feels a little bit too obvious to the point where I'm surprised that they wouldn't have already come to that conclusion already. So I guess we'll just have to see.
I feel like they do hint at something in this episode, because we do get that really cool fight between Barry and Nora. Which is very reminiscent of the Barry Reverse Flash fight from season 1. It takes place in the same studio, or stadium, sorry. But I like the fact that there is kind of like a hint, because Iris does save Barry. Like, Nora is literally about to kill Barry, and Iris is the one who basically stops her. Maybe there's a point where Nora's powers get too dangerous. Maybe that could be something to do with it. Although I do agree with you a lot more in the sense that I feel like it's after Barry goes missing that she's like, well, that's not happening with my daughter.
Yeah.
Goodbye, speeds to powers. So I feel like, yeah, there's definitely something there, and there's more to come. I think this is a season-long arc. I reckon by the end, it'll all be resolved. Although likelihood is Nora's probably going to die by the end. So that will all be irrelevant. But yeah, it's like you say, it's an interesting story. So I want to see where they take it. Similarly to the Flash Forward and Arrow, it's really good. Anything else this episode? I also Spencer Young. I really liked her. I like the actress who played her a lot.
Yeah, very good.
I thought she was really just like fun. I thought she was a fun character, and I like her ties to Iris as well, because I like the fact as well because Iris had a lot in this episode. I like that, you know, her and Iris basically talk, and she's this big, you know, internet blogger, and she's like, I'm literally doing what you did in season 1. Like, you literally made a name for yourself, and you got big online by talking about the Flash. I'm covering XS. You know, I like the fact that there was that, you know, mirror image and a callback to that, and Iris is like, oh shit, yeah. Like, it was good. I thought it was, you know, and it does ring true. I like it. And Spencer Young, I thought she was really fun. Is she a recurring role this season? I have a feeling that she was.
I don't think so. But then again, I'm probably wrong in that area because I can't really remember like a casting call for the Flash. You know, that was like kind of similar to her character. Because
I mean, she does get arrested at the end of the episode. Like, Barry does handcuff her. So I don't know. She could come back. I mean, to be honest, she probably will come back at some point. But it's just like she might not.
She'll become Nora's girlfriend. Facts.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I'd be totally down with that. I think, you know, I think their chemistry was actually quite good for the short amount of time they spent together. So yeah, thought it was. Oh, what did you think of like the baseball scene?
Oh, well, I mean, it was cool just to see how useless Barry is without his Flash powers.
I find it funny that Barry's like such an idiot. Like, cause it's just like without his powers, he's completely like futile. But it's like surely as a speedster, you'd have some kind of coordination. like I can't tell if he was faking that or not. I mean, obviously he can't run, but like, you know, surely you'll be able to catch a ball at least. I don't know. I find that weird.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe he's just got to keep up that image that he's useless, so no one will think he's the Flash.
Yeah, it'll come out eventually, Barry, mate. You can't have that. You can't have no chin strap and you know, not get that. So that was the Flash for this week, and now we move on to the favorite, Arrow season 7.
How can you say it was the favorite? You were saying that Supergirl was better this week.
Yeah, but I'm saying in general.
Yeah, but Arrow's
episode. I will say personally, I think Supergirl had the best episode this week.
No, Arrow's was better. Arrow's was better.
Well, let's debate. Episode 3, Crossing Lines. I just like to point out before we get into this, the actress who plays Red Dart actually saw my review for this and called me out on it on Twitter. It's
Stop
amazing.
This.
I was so happy about it. So yeah, I just wanted to boast, and you know, I'm sitting here in glee.
Wow, yeah, but I'm pretty sure she did that with everyone, so don't make yourself feel special.
I looked at her tweets and replies. I couldn't find any. Anyway. So, I think this has been the best episode of Arrow in regards to the prison stuff that we've had.
I would say so as well.
I love the fact that Oliver's working with Brick. I love Brick. I think he's incredible. I didn't realise how much I missed him.
We just love Vinnie Jones. We just love Vinnie Jones. That's what it is.
I didn't realise how much I missed Vinnie Jones until he came back this season. He's just such a legend. He really is. Just seeing him just rocking about this prison is amazing. I think one of the coolest things about all this is the Fight Club.
Oh, that Fight Club was awesome. And then like having Oliver Queen versus fucking Stardust, and it's just like he just absolutely destroys him. Like breaks both his arms, and I'm like, oh, this is extreme CW, like.
Yeah.
And then he just fucking runs up to Brick.
He does that.
And then like, oh, that was badass. And then it just goes slicing guards, and it was like, oh, I can't wait for this prison stuff. It's too much. It's too much epicness for Arrow.
I know, and I'm surprised. Like, how much they're actually getting away with here with all this prison stuff. Like, because it is really dark and it's really grounded and really brutal. Yeah, because like I say, that fight against Derek Sampson, Stardust, is really, really brutal and really fun at the same time, because you just get to see him, like, he does go around and like he does like this amazing like flip as well, like he does like this like weird cartwheel thing, and then he kicks him in the face and then just completely breaks his arm, like snaps it, and it's amazing. The shot after he snaps it, you can actually see his arms like bent the wrong way round, and it's like, Jesus Christ. And then, the way he just climbs up to Brick and kills all those guards. Now, obviously, he kills all those guards because it is revealed that the demon who Oliver is looking for in this prison is down in level 2, which was hinted at last episode. Level 2 is basically that area of the prison that is the worst of the worst. It's just, that's where you go if you just can't be with other people. So in order to get there, Oliver just, like, basically slaughters loads of guards in order to get down.
Wrong words. He doesn't actually kill anyone. He doesn't kill them.
That's true. He doesn't kill them. He just shanks them in it. So he goes down there, he shanks them all, and he gets sent down to level 2. And I'm sure we'll find out who the demon is next episode. But basically, Oliver is going to be locked up in a box all of next episode, which I assume is that episode that Stephen Amell was talking about, where he said there's an episode where Oliver is literally just stuck in one room. So that's obviously that episode. But yeah, I think all the prison stuff in this is probably the best prison stuff we've had. I loved it.
And I also really like what they did with Bronze Tiger as well, because we got to see a lot more of him in this episode. Yeah. And maybe they're setting up a redemption with him, maybe a team up with him and Oliver, which I think would be pretty cool.
Well, it's funny because Bronze Tiger is a very heroic character in the comics, actually. I don't know if you know a lot about Bronze Tiger, but he's...
Yeah, read a bit.
Yeah, he's because in the comics, he's actually he's basically a vigilante like Batman, except he got caught. That's basically what it is. He got caught and then he was put on the Suicide Squad. But he's still actually a hero in the comics, really, Bronze Tiger. At least one version of him, anyway. Whereas, the Arrow version, they made him a lot more evil. But I like the fact that they do actually show his good side here. Like, he does work with Oliver, and that scene where he actually fights Oliver in that cell is really cool. Like, Oliver just full-on kicks someone off the balcony. But yeah, he's like, you have that really cool fight, and he says, oh yeah, there's this private party, you're not on the guest list, and Oliver's like, well, I assume you are. Like, that's really good. And then you have the scene where he reveals to Oliver, he's like, oh yeah, I saved Lila's life, which is true. Like, in season 3, he did save Lila's life, and Diggle
season 2, Declan. Oh, you got to get these facts right. We're Arrow fanboys. We're expected of this.
But yeah, he does, and it's interesting because obviously Diggle never mentioned it. And I like his response to it. He says, why would he? You guys only ever saw me as one thing. And now look at us. We're in the exact same position. We're in this prison together. It was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope this isn't the last time we'll see him, because if it is, I'd be pretty disappointed, because I really want to see more of Bronze Tiger now in the prison.
Yeah.
Because they said that he was going to have to team up with someone. I hope it's just not, he teamed up with Brick because he was... trying to do some tasks for him. I hope that's not it. I hope he actually does actually team up with someone, and that someone could actually be, Bronze Tiger. I mean, unless Adrian Chase decides to show up and reveal that he's still alive, and then they team up together, then I'm fine with that. I'm still waiting on that cameo, Josh Segarra. Just saying, if he's watching. Yeah. We're still waiting for your cameo.
Yeah, just come back any time, right? Don't worry about how you write it. You don't even have to explain it. Just come back, man. It doesn't matter. Would you actually be okay if Josh Segarra just showed up, like Adrian Chase was alive, no explanation whatsoever?
Oh yeah. I honestly would not care. I would just be so happy.
It would be the best. Oh my god, Adrian Chase is the demon.
Oh, get in, boys.
He just opens up the cell.
Oh my god. What if, because we see it in the promo for next week's episode, Oliver gets hooked up on drugs. What if Agent Chase shows up as a vision?
Yes.
What if they filmed a scene with Josh Segarra?
Has Josh Segarra been in
Vancouver? Well, Oliver is hooked up on drugs.
I hope he has been in Vancouver sometime recently. I don't know if he has been. I'm pretty sure we would have known if he had. But
I don't care. It's gonna happen. He's gonna be in next episode. Oliver's high on drugs. He'll
just do like a weird CGI thing
like
they did with Roy in just do that. Just do that.
That weird looking CGI thing.
Yeah, just do that. That'd be great. That scene was so weird. Why did no one else look like that? He's the only one who looked like that.
What I don't understand is like, how did the Tommy CGI look so good, and then like he just got fucking Roy's, and it's just
his eyes are all over the place, man.
His eyes are everywhere. His nose looks weird. His lips look weird.
I don't know what they did wrong there.
It's almost as someone kicked him in the face just before they shot that scene.
yeah. Look like he had like a face like a smacked ass. Anyway, no disrespect to Colton Haynes. This is a disrespect to the CGI. I love Colton. Everyone knows how much I love Colton Haynes. Speaking of Colton Haynes, none of him. He wasn't in this episode at all. No flash forwards this week, which was a bit disappointing. But I mean, we were told that we're not going to get him every single episode, so I guess we just had to bite the bullet with that one. But yeah, I think all the prison stuff, like we mentioned, is fantastic. Now, there was another part of this episode, which was Diggle working with Lila and Curtis for like an Argus undercover mission. Now, what's interesting is, in the description of this episode, they said that Curtis goes undercover for Argus in this episode.
He doesn't.
Not really, no. I feel like I feel like there is another episode coming up with that in, and I feel like they just changed it around.
Yeah.
Because I think there's another episode coming up with that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that I've seen that in a description somewhere.
Yeah, and we've seen Curtis like with a different hairstyle, which makes us think he's going undercover, in the trailer.
Yeah.
So like we know it's coming unless they've completely cut it because it's like fuck Curtis's character development.
Like the Raven Rock episode.
That's not happening. Just give up. Give up on it, Declan. It's not happening.
Ragman, gone but never forgotten. But yeah, I really like that storyline, and also I think the best scene in this entire episode is Diggle interrogating his kid. I thought that was hilarious.
That was amazing.
That was
Diggle versus the Cookie Monster. That was the best scene of the whole episode.
It's just the way like he's there and like he's like got a dead serious face. He's like he goes and he's like, "Did you or did you not eat all these cookies?" It's just like I'm pretty sure that was David Ramsey's actual kid. I'm pretty sure. Which doesn't quite work.
How sure are you on this?
I'm pretty sure I've seen David Ramsey's kid. I'm pretty sure it was him. The only thing is with that is it kind of breaks Arrow's continuity because like we saw John Diggle Jr. like 2 seasons ago and he was like a baby, so it doesn't quite work. But whatever, I'll let it slide.
Metahuman powers. He ages quicker.
Hashtag Flashpoint did it. So I really love that scene. I like the fact that Lila comes in as well. It's just like, you got him to break in 2 minutes. I've been going in there for 20 minutes. Like, it's just like really like, just cute and fun scene. I enjoyed it a lot. But what did you think of like the Diggle like storyline?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind the Argus stuff, but if I have to be honest, it was probably my least favorite part of the episode. Just because it really kind of did feel a little bit like filler. Because unless what the twist with Lila, with her, selling off information, to base for like to criminals to gain intel back, unless that actually relates to something in terms of the story for the season, I don't know. It's just like it didn't exactly grip me, that kind of stuff. Even though I did like, Diggle and Lila scenes together because I think they probably are one of the best Arrowverse couples. Yeah. It was just. Yeah, I didn't find myself as invested in the Argus stuff as I was, with the FBI versus the Longbow Hunters or the prison stuff.
Yeah, I do agree. I was kind of just like, all right with all this kind of stuff. It wasn't really for me. It was fine, and I do love. I've said this before, but I love every time Lila shows up. Like Lila needs to be on the show more, and I like the fact that obviously seeing as Argus is going to play quite a big role this season, with obviously Diggle being there, Curtis being there. I think we are going to see a lot more Lila this season, which is good, because I think Audrey Marie Anderson is amazing. So, yeah, for me, this kind of side of the story, because this story didn't really have much relevance. It was more like a side story and to have Diggle and Lila have a bit of tension. And that side of it is good. The whole Diggle and Lila having like a bit of a dispute was good. And Curtis was basically just Curtis in this episode.
Just Curtis.
It was just kind of like every time it was there, it was kind of like, yeah, I agree. It was like my least favorite part of the episode. It was just kind of there, and it was just kind of like, okay, let's just watch this and see where it goes and whatever. And it's all kind of resolved by the end, and then move on. It's not really too special. But the other part of the episode was a lot cooler, and it was the new Team Arrow working with the FBI to take down Ricardo Diaz and the Longbow Hunters. This was quite cool. I did enjoy this.
Yeah.
Now, this does confirm that Hoss isn't actually working for the FBI like we predicted.
You mean like you were fanboying over a trailer? Gee, Hoss is FBI.
I actually
and then all of us are wrong. all of us were wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it did look like that, because to be fair, we didn't see, like, Felicity or Dinah with the FBI thing. So it just turns out that they just kind of hook up with Samantha Watson and they go off the books to do this thing. Which is a bit of a shame. I would have liked to have seen Hoss actually join the FBI. You know, I'm sure the FBI really need some more Hoss in their lives, because don't we all? I will say, though, I really love Renee this season. Like,
yeah.
I love what they've done with him. Like, they've kind of turned him into, like, this weird, dumb sidekick character.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of works. And I think he's really funny and entertaining. Like, I like the scene when, like, they're in the police headquarters and then it's just like, oh, yeah, if we don't take down the silencer, and he just kind of leans over and is like, oh, we're calling her the silencer now? It's like, oh, yeah, well, it's better than the belt lady. Noted. Just, like this really, like, dumb lines. It's funny, though. But yeah, all this stuff working with Samantha Watson. Samantha Watson was actually good in this episode. She wasn't annoying, which was good. That's kind of been a big problem with her. Did you like her in this? I think she was a lot better.
I think this is probably her best episode, to be honest. Because I actually liked her in this episode. Like, I think I made no secret of this. I hated her character in season 6. She was such a by the numbers, like, just like procedural character, as in it's like, oh, I'm going to bring you down and she had barely any personality. She had no real, like, personal motive. It was just, oh, it's the job. So she just came off as very bland and boring. Like, you could have literally recast her with anybody else or changed the gender, and you would not have changed that character at all. But it wasn't in, like, for the way of being better. It was just awful. But in this episode, I thought she was quite good. Which is funny, considering this is probably the last appearance she will make on Arrow, given how her story ends. But like, I enjoyed this episode. She was a lot more manageable than she was in season 6. Still not the greatest of characters, but compared to what they did with the last season, it was definitely an improvement.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to see her go into that better position. Also, just seeing the team work, because we got like another awesome fight with Silencer, with Dinah this time, and that was great. Just they're honestly some of my favorite action sequences is the ones with Silencer. Just because it's really unique. It's something we haven't seen before. She can literally just eliminate all sound in an area, and then we can have like a completely silent fight scene. I think that's awesome. I love Silencer. She's probably my favorite member of the Longbow Hunters we've seen so far, except for Red Dart, obviously. But yeah, also speaking of Red Dart, I thought she was great in this episode. Kodiak was great. I think all the action that came from this was great. Diaz. I guess should we just talk about the ending with Diaz?
Yeah, let's talk about the ending, because it's interesting.
I am the Iron Fist.
Don't say that. It's making me depressed.
So Diaz kind of takes this drug and becomes the Iron Fist. I mean,
I am the immortal Iron Fist.
I'm not the immortal Iron Fist, baby.
No,
I feel like. How do you feel about this? Like, this is weird to me. I don't know how I feel about it just yet.
He's basically just Deathstroke with Iron Fist. No, I don't know, because I mean, I guess the reason they're doing this is to kind of maybe make him more threatening in terms of like a hand-to-hand combat situation. Because one of the things that didn't make sense about Diaz last season was like his fighting ability, because it was like he could destroy Thea, he could sort of match Oliver. But it was like his fighting was so inconsistent because we didn't really get enough development behind it. But I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I guess the reason they're doing this is just to maybe give him that feature and just also to make him more threatening. But then again, they do also explain in the episode that, like, you know, and this was something that I actually wondered after the season 6 finale, which was that apparently, you know, when Black Siren, like, you know, Canary cries him off that building, you know, he smacks into the water and he basically like breaks most of the bones in his body.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I found it a bit strange because obviously they set up this drug and I think they say like it can cure like Ebola or something.
Pain.
Yeah, and it can also like cure his pain, and so like he injects it and then he sort of does a bit of screaming and he punches a wall and his hand goes straight through it with seemingly no damage done to his hand at all. So he basically has the Iron Fist. Now, I think this is them. What I feel this is them not only making Ricardo Diaz more comic book accurate by giving him kind of like Richard Dragon-esque powers, because Richard Dragon in the comics does have powers as far as I'm aware.
He does in some iterations. He does in some, but in others,
Iron Fist-esque powers.
He doesn't. Yeah, it's weird because it's like, I mean, like in some bits of like pre-52, he's got powers, but then nowadays, I think in the new 52 he doesn't, but before then he did. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah,
but I guess like maybe that.
Doing.
Yeah, I feel like it probably is just a callback to that, but also to make him just a bit more of a threat.
Yeah, I personally feel that's exactly what this is, because we know Kirk Acevedo is a series regular this season, and I feel like inevitably him and Oliver are going to face off again, and in order to make it a bit different from the last time they fought, because obviously we know the results when they fight, Oliver wins most of the time, so they need to make it a bit different, so they're going to give Diaz a superpower to make it a bit different. Yeah,
I mean, because we already know they're going to face each other. I think Kirk Acevedo did put on Twitter that he did a fight scene with Stephen Amell. Naked, which okay, interesting.
I'm definitely excited to see the context of that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested to see if that's going to take place in prison or out of prison.
Yeah, it's weird, but I like. Oh, okay. What about if Diaz gets arrested with this power and then he breaks everyone out? Like, I'm not saying in a hero way. It's just like in order to, like, in an evil way, just breaks all these prisoners out.
Oh, and then we get and then we get a fight. Is reminiscent of Daredevil season 2 Punisher hallway.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yes.
Just make him kill people on that one scene. I don't care. Just do it.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, I feel like this is them as well, just kind of like justifying Diaz's longer stay on the show, because obviously they've never done this before with a villain where they've continued him on as a main villain. They've never done this. Obviously, Slade came back, Malcolm came back, but they've never actually continued the main villain for another season. And I feel like this is them trying to say, oh, this isn't the same as last season because he's got superpowers now. It's something a bit different. And obviously he has got the Longbow Hunters as well. So I feel like that's all this is. I don't think it's too relevant. And obviously we have to see what they do with it and how he uses this power he's got. But I'm still not 100% on it. I feel like it's a bit of a weird choice, but I feel like it is just them trying to justify Diaz's longer stay on the show. Which I guess is fine. I mean, I like Diaz, so I'm happy to see him stick around. Is there anything else in this episode?
I mean, we got to see a bit more of the Longbow Hunters in terms of, with Red Dart, Kodiak, and Sounds. No. God, you're never going to stop talking about this, are you?
Hey, I'm just really happy that an actress from Arrow actually watched my review. I'm very proud of that.
You can go on about that. The actor who played Kodiak, he actually liked one of my Arrow.
Well, Kirk actually follows both of us, so.
We're followed by the dragon, so
we're basically protected for life.
Yeah, we're protected for life. Well, I can ring him up now. If anybody's like hassling me, I'll just be like, "Hey, Kirk, just beat him up for me, please."
Oh, baby, it's your lucky day. I can't do Diaz's accent. I'm good at accents, and I can't do Diaz's accent.
It's your lucky day.
Like in this episode, what does he say to Watson? It's like, Agent Watson, I see you've reunited with some old friends.
I love how he says all of that while he's like getting them syringes.
Yeah, he doesn't even look at her when he says it. He's just like he just doesn't even. He's so chill.
He's just that chill. Yeah. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, I think there is a lot of good stuff going on in this episode. It was still a fantastic continuation for season 7. Season 7 is just so strong.
Really good. I mean, like, there's very few things that I'm having a roll with season 7, to be honest. Like the only real thing that's honestly like bugging me is that, like, I'm probably going to be in the minority saying this, but I feel like Felicity is starting to get a little bit overbearing at times in this episode, especially like when she basically like costs Samantha Watson a job, which I could sort of understand why she's doing it, like, because obviously, she wants to get to, stop Diaz without obviously having, her on her back. But I think her methods are very questionable. So unless a bit irritated by her, once again, it's not down to why she's doing it. It's just more the methods that she's using to get what she wants. I'm just not agreeing with.
Yeah, I feel like she is becoming a bit annoying, which is very frustrating given how far we've come with Felicity after season 4. Like in season 5, she got better. Season 6, she got better, and now we're kind of taking 2 steps back. It's a bit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's weird because like the first episode,
she's great.
Yeah, she was really good. They nailed it in that episode, and in these two, it almost you can just tell that it's not written by the same person. Like it's clear that Beth Schwartz knew how to write Felicity in that first episode. And it's like I don't know who's written these last 2 episodes, but it doesn't feel the same.
It's Googie behind the scenes.
That's why we don't need him as a creative consultant. Get rid of him completely.
He's just staring at people with his eyes, and they feel threatened, so they have to write Felicity badly.
I should have really just run around for Halloween just in a Guggenheim mask with his eyes just enlarged in Photoshop.
Oh, we need to make that. That could be the next promotion after Hoss. It's Googie with big eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do feel kind of annoying. It does feel kind of annoying with Felicity. Just they need to kind of nip that in the bud quick before it gets any worse. Especially, but to be honest, I'm preparing for the worst in the future because, especially, I think it's either next episode or episode 5. Like the description says, Felicity finds out something about Oliver she never knew. And I feel like that's going to cause more attention. Now, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this could be. Like, Felicity pretty much knows everything about Oliver in his past, unless this is something he does in prison.
No. What if they're setting up Emiko Queen to be revealed in the season finale, or mid-season finale?
What? So you think Emiko Queen is Oliver's daughter?
I think what it could be is that it could be a sister, but then they'll make drama out of it by Felicity being like, Oliver didn't tell me he has a sister.
So do you think Oliver knows about it?
I think maybe it could be. I think what Felicity's going to do is she's going to basically like dig further into Diaz, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it relates to that. Just because it's like, what else could it be related to Oliver that she finds out? I think the only 2 things it can be really is either that, because obviously we know Emiko Queen is going to be in this season.
Yeah.
Or she'll find out the kind of things that Oliver has done in prison.
Yeah.
Because
she finds out about Emiko Queen before Oliver does. Like maybe Oliver doesn't know.
Damn. Maybe. I mean,
I'm so hyped for this Emiko Queen thing.
Yeah, just because I came up with this theory to you, which I just made off the back of my head, like on the spot.
Yeah. It's really exciting to me that we're getting like a new member of the Queen family into this, and especially because I want to see how where this came from. Like I've actually seen a theory; it could be the daughter of Robert and Isabel Rochev.
That would make sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because I mean, it can't be the same as it is in the comics. Because
it's not Shadow. No, it can't be
It's definitely not Shadow.
Unless they both came back from the dead on the island and they came next to each other and they just like Adam and Eved it. But, but yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, especially because we know that Robert and Isabel had a bit of a thing. Like we know that happened, so that would make sense. It just depends because obviously Isabel Rochev never really mentioned anything about having a daughter, but I guess this would be like the plot twist, obviously. I don't know. I think that's really interesting though. So, but anyway, back to the point. Let's just hope that Felicity gets better.
Yeah, to get Best Schwartz to write her Best Schwartz
and write all the episodes because she is the best. Is there anything else in this episode? Except for the lack of Roy.
No Black Siren. No Black Siren, which I'm very disappointed by.
Black Siren was in this episode. She's going to be in next episode, though, working with Team Arrow, it seems. So
yeah. Like, just please, can we just get her working with Team Arrow and just give her a fucking backstory episode, please?
Yeah, where is that? Like, this is so annoying. We've been wanting this for such a long time. Like,
and then it's like
Earth 2 backstory episode.
Yeah. Oh, the amount of times, like, it was, especially like last season. Really, they should have done it last season. And it was like when they're coming up with all these like the episode titles, and I saw Doppelganger, and I was like, "Oh, we're finally getting it," and then it just wasn't.
Why was the episode even called Doppelganger?
Because Black Siren was not the main focus.
Black Siren, and there was that whole thing with her being Laurel, but the main focus was Thea and Roy. Like, I don't understand why the episode was even called Doppelganger.
It's one of Googie's just usual stupid decisions.
They should have just called it Roy's Return.
I bet. Oh God.
It's like Batman Returns, Arsenal Returns. But yeah, they definitely need to give us that episode this season. Like, just please. Like, it'd be so interesting. You could even bring back, like, Teddy Sears as Zoom. You could do, like, Earth 2 Tommy. You could do Earth 2 Oliver. Like, there's so much opportunity there.
Yeah. I've only just thought of something. You know how Roy is wearing the old Arsenal suit in the Flash 4?
Hang on, say that again.
You know how Roy's wearing the Arsenal suit?
Yeah.
How has he got it? Because I swear Colton Haynes said that like the Arsenal suit doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So is he wearing Thea's suit?
Yeah, I don't know. Because, Colton Haynes did say that. He did say on Twitter that Roy doesn't have the suit anymore, hence why in Season 6 he wore that, like, makeshift, like, more comic book suit. I don't know. They'll probably never explain it. It's probably just a retcon.
Nah. It's just a typical Flash thing, but it's just they'll never explain it.
To be honest, though, I'd have to think, if Roy comes back, like, why wouldn't he have the suit, though? Because when he got arrested, he was wearing Oliver's suit, not his. So surely Team Arrow would have his suit, surely. But then again, actually, in Season 4... Yeah, because in Season 4 they gave it back to him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is just messed up.
This is like Flashpoint level stuff. No, not quite. Nothing will ever be as bad as Savitar. But yeah, still great episode of Arrow. Still a fantastic continuation. Season 7's going really strong. Let's keep it going. And let's just... Oh yeah, I guess we should talk about who do you think the demon is. But who do you think the demon is?
We talked about this before, didn't we? But I think the most likely candidate, just based on obviousness, would be Stanley. But I don't want it to be Stanley, and we've already said this is the reason we don't want it to be Stanley is not because we love the actor, because he's like one of Uwe Boll's regulars.
He's the Uwe Boll regular.
But like, I mean, it's just cool to have basically the ultimate Green Arrow fanboy stuck in prison with him, because he kind of acts as a contrast to everybody else who's in there, who's really just out there to either kill Oliver or just have nothing to do with him. So I like him for that reason, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did turn out to be the demon, but I just hope that it isn't.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. To be honest, I don't think he is the demon.
No.
What I think's I think he is. There is something going on with him, though. I do have a theory. I think he's that informant for Diaz. Because there is an informant in there for Diaz. I think it's him. And I think what's going...
but them and the demon are the same person.
No, I think there's something else going on. Because I think that Diaz has dirt on Stanley and on his family. Because when Stanley says, I'm innocent in here for murder, and, I've got family too, didn't you think about that? I think that's a bit of a red herring, and I feel like that is actually in reference to Diaz having dirt on his family, and maybe Diaz framed him for murder and says, right, you're going to be in there. Like, he did it purposely to get that guy in prison at the same time as Oliver. Plus, also, there's a couple of hints as well, because, in episode 2 when Oliver first comes out of the thing, and he's like, I asked around, sort of thing. And he's like, and people are scared of me because I'm friends with you. I feel like people still wouldn't give him information unless they knew something. And also, even in this episode, when he's with Bronze Tiger, very subtly and not in the background, he says, first rule of prison, don't trust anyone. He says that. Why would he say that? I feel like it's a subtle little...
I don't know. I mean, I just can't really... I don't know. I can't really see it. I can't really see them doing it. But it's like...
Like I say, I don't think he's the demon, but I think he's definitely got something going on there. There's more to him than he's letting on.
I don't know. I mean, we just love Brendan Fletcher. That's what it is.
Yeah. Turns out he actually went to prison after holding an entire bank hostage for
and tried to assassinate the president of the United States.
Oh dear. It turns out he actually knows Dominic Purcell, and that's what we need. We need a spin-off show with Heatwave and Stanley. And
then just throw Ray Liotta in there, so we're just going to have a couple of white boys making a movie together.
But that means the demon is Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, definitely. Ra's al Ghul is alive, people.
I think there is actually weight to that theory, though, because obviously, I think Ra's al Ghul is the most obvious choice. And I don't mean obvious in necessarily it'll be true, but I mean just because of the name. obviously it makes sense. And also, this demon character has got to be the character that is that fourth mystery character who Oliver's going to meet in prison. And obviously, this is someone who Oliver never thought he'd see again. He killed Ra's al Ghul, so surely he'd think that he wouldn't see Ra's al Ghul again. My only thing is against this theory is that if they brought back Ra's al Ghul, that would be a bit of a big problem.
Yeah.
Because this demon character is basically just going to be a cameo. I don't think you could just bring back Ra's al Ghul as a cameo. Like, given how much destruction and like he almost blew up Star City. Like, I feel like that's a problem. If you bring back Ra's al Ghul, it's like you can't really leave that. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know who the demon is. I don't have a nailed on prediction yet. But I think it'll get revealed next episode. I think like the next episode will end with that reveal because episode 5 is called The Demon. So.
Yeah, so it's got to be then. So then they can set it up more in episode 5. So, yeah, I don't really know who it's going to be, but like you say, I think it's going to be that like, mystery fourth person who like, Oliver's going to be locked up with.
Merlin. Could be Malcolm. Although, has John Barrowman been on set? I know he's been on set very recently for the crossover.
Yeah, my thing is cutting out again.
Oh dear. Yeah, I think John Barrowman, he has been on set recently for the crossover filming, but not for Arrow at that point, so probably not Malcolm either. I don't know who the demon is, but we'll find out. If we find out next week, obviously we'll be talking about it, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So that brings this week's episode of On a Die Podcast to a close. I think this was a very strong week of DCTV because pretty much every episode was good because even Supergirl was good this week.
Yeah, I mean, we might not get this again. So take it while we...
Yeah, take this while you have... This is a very rare occasion that both me and Dan are praising Supergirl to the high heavens. So make sure, this is going to be live on YouTube, so make sure that, you record this, you save this video, because this may never happen again. So make sure you have this for the history books. This is going in the Flash Museum. Like, this is like, the one and only time that we praised Supergirl. So this is a momentous. That's going in the title, that is. That's going in the title. So,
Supergirl is great again.
but not for long. So, thank you guys for listening to episode 21 of On a Die Podcast. Oh, this is 22, actually. Yeah. Sorry. I wrote 21 on my notes page, but then I seen on the Discord, I see the thumbnail for episode 21.
Oh, God.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure you share it around with any other fans of DCTV that may enjoy this type of content. And with all that said, I've been Declan.
I've been Dan.
And we hope to see you guys again next week.
See ya.
Stay hossy.